When I first stepped down those steps, maybe 3 or 5 months ago, I stood in that spot, and that is exactly what I thought. Who the hell do you think you are? A nobody, a citizen, a man of faith, a dad. A guy who truly believes that our country is in trouble. And I am willing to do and say the hard things. I am willing to lose my life, my fortune, but not my sacred honor. I have lost it before because of the things that I have done in my past. I'm a recovering alcoholic. It's the only thing that is truly yours, your name and your honor. I will not lose that. You watch the media. Well, they'll paint it any way they can, and then now they're trying to paint me now as the leader of I don't know what. The 9/12 project, when I introduced it, I said, this is yours. Do with it what you want. You just need to get together and know you're not alone. Same thing with this. This event and this country is much bigger than any single one person. It is not about one person. When we put everything in with one person or one party, we're done. We must find our ideas, our ideals, our values, our principles. How do you want to live your life? It's knowing that American ideal and knowing that if we live that ideal, the nation will be better for it and we will survive, we will prosper. But there has never been one great leader. There is no strong man, no strong woman who's going to pick this country up and carry us to the finish line. It's you. It's me. It's the guys behind the camera, the people on the floor. It's all of us. How many of us hope that the leader of the free world is currently making his decisions occasionally on his knees in prayer in the Oval Office? What I am telling you is that you are the leader. Are you on your knees? Or is that just for someone else with real power to do? Because that's a perversion of our whole system. We the people. It comes from you. You know what? We're probably not too different. Maybe you're a better person than I am, but I've screwed up most of my life. I used to think that, you're just put here to do whatever it is you want. You play video games and eat donuts all day and everything's great. Sweet life. It's over. That life is over. Let me ask you this question. Do you know why you are here? Do you know what you were meant for? Why are you watching this show? Why are you hearing this message right now? Is it a coincidence? I don't believe in coincidence. I hope this monologue haunts you. Why are you here? Answer the question. What is your purpose? Our founders believed that they were born at a special time. They believed that each of them played a role. They believed, and you know it, you can see it, through divine providence, all these people were assembled. It was amazing. But one person didn't just lead it all. They all played a role. One person was the hand. The other person was this hand. Somebody else was the head. Somebody else was the heart. Somebody else was the legs. Somebody else was a strong back. What is God trying to use you for? Boy, I bet you haven't heard that on TV, at least during the daytime on cable news. Is it taboo? I'm sorry. Shh. Keep that one to yourself, too. Does anyone believe in divine providence anymore? I know Ronald Reagan did. I know George Washington did. I know Abraham Lincoln did. Reagan said, for whatever reason, God made America free, and he wasn't throwing cliches out when he said once a country loses her freedom, those people will never get it back again. That if freedom is extinguished here in America, there is no place on the face of the earth for the world to run to. Do you think Russia and China are going to lead the world on what? The environment? You got Putin yesterday taking pictures of himself hunting whales. Yeah. How about human rights? You have China stacking people up like sardines in apartments above factories so they can work around the clock. You've got Iran, who's burying people up to their necks because they're homosexual. They're the leaders. We used to strive in this country to be a shining city on the hill. That's what the Pilgrims came here for. That's what they thought this land was. It's what our founders thought, even 30 years ago, the shining city on the hill. Well, what is the shining city on the hill? Look it up. It's the same story, whether you call it Atlantis, New Jerusalem, or Zion. It is the shining example of a place where people work together in peace and friendship and worship God and make things better together. Have we even been striving for that? Have we? Make no mistake, the flame of freedom is dwindling. The shining city on the hill, the sun is setting. If you don't want it to go out on our watch, then you must stand in the blaze, the fire of truth that does not burn those who stand in it, but consumes everything that is not. Point others to the truth. And just like every other struggle in history, in fact, every struggle in American history, read Lincoln, King, Washington, they were fighting evil. If you think things are tough now, you ain't seen nothing yet. I will show you the way out. Next. I want to bring in Martin Luther King Jr.'s niece, Alveda King. She is the director of African American Outreach for PriestForLife.org. She'll be joining me here in Washington, 828 at the steps of the Lincoln Memorial for our Restoring Honor rally. We met 4 months ago, 4 months ago.
About 4 months
and I can't thank you enough for encouraging me. I don't even know if you know this, but you gave me encouragement. Do you remember what you first said to me when we first met?
I just said, God bless your heart. You just keep going and doing what you're doing.
And you looked at me and you said, faith, hope, and charity.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're right,
that's
because that's what my uncle used to talk about.
Right.
And now I feel like in a way I have to apologize for having you in on this event, because you are getting hammered, to say the least. You are now being told that, and I love this, that you don't have the right, you're hijacking Dr. King, is hijacking Dr. King's message.
That's amazing.
And you don't have the right to speak at this rally.
I was told I don't have the right to speak. I'm Vice President of National NAACP, and then there's some group, NRS, well, it was a reproductive choice group or something.
Whatever.
And they're saying that I don't have the right. Alveda King does not have the right to speak about Martin Luther King. She's hijacking the dream. And then my question to them became, how can I hijack my own legacy? The dream is in my genes.
There's somebody, and I have not brought in the other names of anybody else involved, because I know what they're going to go through if you know, give people enough time, and they'll just drag them through the mud. Yeah. How does it feel to, in a way, repeat in a very small scale the same kinds of things that you and your family, your father was killed, your uncle was killed.
Right.
What's this feel like to you?
Well, it is disturbing, but I'm having to go back to the real principles that I grew up on: faith, hope, and charity. Not hating, but loving. Praying for those who despitefully use me. My grandfather, Martin Luther King Sr., my daddy, Reverend A.D. King, my uncle, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., real preachers who really love the Lord. And what people forget, when Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. stood on the steps of the Lincoln Monument, and many of the things that he did, his own peers were tearing him apart. Stop it, Martin. You're making things uncomfortable. Why are you doing this? Don't do it. And so to hear that and to feel it, sometimes I can go back to how their faces looked. Because my daddy, my grandfather, Daddy King, my Uncle Martin, sometimes they just looked so serious. They were young men, and I can remember that. But they were looking so serious because they had to fight to struggle not to lose their love for the people who were attacking them. And now I'm in that position, and it's been very hard. Glenn, I'll tell you, this week, I told people, I said, I gotta go and be by myself with the Lord, because I was really about to sin by being really angry and saying some really bad things.
We have said on my staff before, we cannot hate, we cannot don't let the Lord see that in you, because then he abandons you. He leaves you.
He can't do anything for us when we're there.
That's right. And it's difficult. I want to talk to you. How much time do we have here, Aaron? Okay, 30 seconds. Let me say, when we come back, I don't think that, a lot of people are just a lot of bluster, because this is exactly what they said prior to your uncle's march, that there were going to be race riots and everything else, and there weren't.
Right.
And it was an amazing day. I want to talk a little bit about the difference of what it took to go to that march compared to this, but also the things that your uncle taught and your father taught about how to deal with that kind of vitriol around you, and why it's important to be different than your accusers. Back in a second. So, this Saturday, we will stand arm in arm, shoulder to shoulder at the Lincoln Memorial Restoring Honor. With me now is Dr. Alveda King, niece of Martin Luther King Jr. She's also the director of African American Outreach for PriestForLife.org, and she will be joining me in Washington, 8/28, that's this Saturday, at the steps of the Lincoln Memorial for our Restoring Honor rally. And she's doing the tribute to her uncle. We were talking about the difference, and America, nobody with half a brain cell is going to admit this on television, but I will, because it's true. I grew up in the whitest white little town in Washington State that you could possibly imagine. I didn't know anything about civil rights movement. I've learned more in the last year on the civil rights movement than I think I did my whole life. And I know people are afraid some people are afraid because, the Black Panthers might show up or whatever. And some people think that's a big risk to come. Let me tell you something. When you look at your father and your uncle, they, at times, you could see it in their eyes. They were afraid. Yeah. They stood as God with their shield, but they were afraid. And the people that were coming, nobody is getting onto a bus here in America and having somebody say, you go there, I will kill your whole family. That happened. Yeah. That happened. When you got on the plane to come here, I know, I've had the conversation with my kids, specifically about this weekend. Yeah. What did your family say?
They keep calling me, why aren't you home? And they know why I'm not home. And one of my daughters says, well, Mom, I know they killed Granddaddy, that's my daddy, Reverend A.D. King, and they killed Uncle M.L., that's Martin, but you make sure you come home. And so my assurance to them, you have Bible heroes who are martyrs, and then you have Bible heroes like David, who lived to be a ripe old age. But his enemies, especially Saul, kept trying to kill him. Queen Esther's whole nation was threatened to be killed. Rahab the harlot could have lost her life. Daniel in the lion's den, and Joseph. So I said, well, baby, we're going to trust in the Lord. So the real meaning of the song, we shall overcome, these are they who will be overcome, who overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimonies. One of the verses is, we are not afraid. Another verse is, God is on our side. So I have to say to everyone who's coming, please come. It's going to be a joyous time. We're going to celebrate faith, hope, and charity. We'll be talking about the love of God and honor. But come in prayer. Be girded in a full armor that includes prayer, the full armor of God.
I keep telling people, have you been to the Lincoln Memorial? You came right to the studio from the
I didn't go today, but I was there just a few days ago. Yeah.